I'm 73 years old, and this is the first time I'm saying out loud what I'm about to tell you. Not because it's hard to explain, but because it hurts just to say it. For 40 years, I believed I was a good person, a useful man, a respected doctor, a highly skilled cardiac surgeon. I spent my life with my hands inside people's chests, stopping hearts, restarting them, keeping them alive when everything seemed over. 2,731 hearts. I remember because I counted them, not all at once, one at a time, over the span of nearly my entire life. Every operation had a name, a face, a family outside the operating room, and every time I thought the same thing. This person absolutely needs me. Stay here with me. Because this phrase, which sounds noble, is the same one that destroyed my life. If you can, write the word heart in the comments. Write it if you're always saving someone too. Write it if you feel necessary to everyone, except yourself. I was always needed, always on call, always ready. Another emergency, another shift, another night at the hospital. And every time I told myself it was right, that I was doing something important, and it was really, but what I didn't see, what I understood too late, is that I was always choosing the same thing. Work. Always work. Not because I didn't love my family. This is the mistake everyone makes when they hear stories like mine. I loved them. My 3 children. I loved them truly, but I loved them from a distance, between one operation and another, between being on call and a postponed promise. I told myself there would be time, that one day I would slow down, that I would catch up. Don't leave now, because soon I'll tell you when I understood that time doesn't make up for anything, and what happens when you realize you're saving everyone, except the people you love. I kept saving hearts, while mine, slowly, was drifting away from home. I would come home when everything was already dark, dim lights, silence that asked no questions. My 3 children were asleep, or pretending to sleep. I would look at them from the doorway for just a few seconds. The way you look at something you don't want to disturb, but that you're already losing. I told myself it didn't matter, that tomorrow I'd be home earlier, that the weekend would be different, and the weekend would come, but it always came tired. With my head still at the hospital, I was there, but I wasn't really there. And this is one of the cruelest truths to accept. You can be present with your body and completely absent with your heart. My children were growing up. I was getting older, and between us, a silent space was widening, a space made of later, of another time, of Dad's tired. And while I was saving hearts in the operating room, I didn't realize that the ones closest to me were learning to beat without mine. At first, everyone tells you you're extraordinary, that you do important work, that without you, certain people wouldn't be here. And you believe it, because it's true. When you save a life, no one asks what you're losing in return. They shake your hand. They thank you. They call you a hero. And that word, hero, becomes a perfect excuse. An excuse not to come home. An excuse to say, I can't. An excuse to postpone everything else. I told myself my children would understand, that one day they'd be proud. I thought absence was temporary, that it was the price to pay for something greater. Stay here with me, because this is a lie that seems logical, but slowly destroys everything. Children don't measure love by good intentions. They measure it by presence. by who takes them places, by who listens. Time ones, by who's there when they come home. I was always there after the shift, after the operation, after the emergency, and after. Over time, becomes never. I miss birthdays, school plays, dinners that won't come back, but not all at once, one at a time. So they didn't seem serious. That's how it works. The real disaster doesn't come with an explosion. It comes with habit. I told myself I was doing my best, and in a way it was true, but I was giving my best to everyone except them. And while I was getting better and better at saving hearts, I was becoming more and more incapable of staying. Don't leave now, because in the next part, I'll tell you about the exact moment when I understood I wasn't just tired, and that I'd already started losing something that can't be operated on. Over time, I started convincing myself that love could wait, that my children would stay there, frozen, until my return. I didn't understand they were learning to live without me, not out of cruelty, out of necessity. When someone isn't there, the heart finds a way to adapt, and that adaptation, over time, becomes distance. I would come home convinced I was a pillar, but I'd already become an intermittent presence, a man who appeared, who said hello, who disappeared again. And the cruelest thing is this: no one ever told me I was doing wrong, because from the outside, everything seemed right. Inside, everything was collapsing. There's a moment that doesn't come with a noise. It's not a fight. It's not a tragedy. It's a silent moment. And precisely because of that, it's the most dangerous. For me, it came one ordinary evening. I was coming back from a long shift, one of those that empty you out. The house was lit. My children were in the kitchen. They were laughing without me. I stopped at the threshold, not because I couldn't enter, but because I felt something close. They hadn't stopped laughing. They hadn't turned around. They hadn't looked for me with their eyes. In that moment, I understood something no doctor wants to admit. You can arrive late even when you're alive. Stay here with me, because this is where many turn off the video. But it's also what changes everything. I started noticing the details, the ones I'd ignored before. Conversations already started. Decisions made without me. Habits built elsewhere. I wasn't excluded. I was superfluous. And that's much worse, because exclusion makes you angry. Superfluousness makes you ashamed. I tried to catch up, to ask questions, to be there more. But it doesn't work like that. Intimacy doesn't reattach like an organ. Wanting it isn't enough. And this, for a cardiac surgeon, is the most humiliating discovery of all. I'd spent my life believing everything was fixable, that with enough time and technique, you could fix anything. But relationships don't work like that. When you lose the right rhythm, the heart doesn't beat the same way again. My children weren't angry. They didn't accuse me. And that hurt the most. They treated me like you treat someone who's no longer part of daily life, with politeness, with distance. And I understood, too late, that while I was saving thousands of hearts, I taught my children not to count on mine. Don't leave now, because in the next part, I'll tell you about the hardest moment of all, when I stopped making excuses and saw the damage for what it was. For a long time, I kept telling myself the same story, that I'd done what I could, that you can't be everywhere, that someone would have suffered anyway. It was a comfortable story, It allowed me to sleep, to get up in the morning, to put on my coat again. But then comes a moment when stories stop working and only the facts remain. I started seeing the facts when I stopped being indispensable. Not at the hospital. At home, my children didn't call me first anymore. Not to tell me about their day. Not to ask for advice. They called me after, when they needed something, when there was no one else. Stay here with me, because this is the sign almost everyone ignores. And it's already too late when you understand it. I started feeling like a stranger in my own home. Not because I was rejected, but because I was no longer necessary. And for a man who built his identity on being necessary, this is a fall without a net. I look back. I retraced every choice, every shift accepted without thinking, every time I'd said I can't. And there I stopped lying to myself. It wasn't true that I had no choice. I had chosen every single time. I'd chosen work, respect, other people's urgencies, and I'd called all this responsibility. But responsibility, when it becomes an alibi, is just a well-dressed escape. This is the truth that broke me. I didn't lose my children because of a tragedy, not because of a sudden event. I lost them slowly, choice after choice, absence after absence. And when I finally understood, there was nothing left to explain, because they'd already learned to live without me. Don't leave now, because in this next and final part, I'll tell you what's left. When work ends, excuses end, and you're alone with the time you have left. The thing that hurt me most, more than any accusation, was an unspoken phrase, a phrase I never heard come from their mouths, but that I read in gestures, in silences, in pauses too long. We learned without you. They never said it. They didn't need to. I saw it when they made important decisions, without feeling the need to involve me, when they informed me instead of asking. I listened, nodded, and inside felt something give way. Because in that moment, I understood something definitive. I hadn't just lost the past. I'd lost the present, and the present, unlike the past, can't even be regretted. You can only watch it flow by, knowing it no longer belongs to you. And there, at that exact point, I felt the full weight of the years, not as a number, but as distance. Today, my life is quiet, not in the romantic sense of the word, in the real sense. The house is tidy. The days all flow the same. I have no more shifts. I have no more emergencies. And for the first time in decades, I have time. But time, when it comes too late, isn't a gift. It's a mirror. I wake up in the morning with no one needing me, no calls, no urgencies. And in that silence, I think back to every time I said I can't, to every postponed evening, to every promise made without keeping it. I saved 2,731 hearts. I know because it's written in the records, because the hospital remembers. But no record keeps track of what you lose. There's no medical chart for neglected relationships. There's no report for absence. And when you realize it, you can't go back. My children have a life. They learn to do without me. They don't hate me. They don't blame me. And this is the hardest point to accept. Because hate at least keeps you inside a story. Indifference doesn't. Stay just a moment longer with me, because now I'll tell you the only thing that truly matters. If you're listening to this story and telling yourself you're different, that your case is special, that you're doing something important, I thought that too. Every man who loses what he loves thinks he's the exception. He's not. Work doesn't return love. Emergencies don't wait. And time doesn't save anything for later. If you can still choose, choose now. Not tomorrow. Not when it's easier. Not when this period ends. Because I too was waiting for a period to end. And it never ended. Write in the comments, I choose now. Write it to take a stand. Write it so you don't forget this feeling. Like this video, so this message reaches whoever needs it. Share it with someone who works too much, not to scare them, but to save them. And subscribe to the channel. Here we tell true stories before it's really too late. I can't get my children back, but maybe you can avoid losing yours. And if this story stays with you, good. It means it arrived in time.